Welcome to Dateline Schools, a presentation of the St. Clair County Regional Educational Service Agency, with your host, Chris Troy.
As high school juniors begin to think about college and their parents begin to think about how to pay for college, not to mention work through the large amounts of paperwork involved in application forms, one organization has stepped up to help families prepare for their children's post-high school education. The Blue Water College Access Network, or BWCAN, has developed a series of virtual workshops to help out families get information on making the right choice for their student. Joining me today on Dateline Schools is Nick Beaudry, the Supervisor of Career and College Programs here at St. Clair County RESA. Nick, thanks a lot for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Now, give me a little bit of back history about the webinars. How did this start being a webinar program?
Well, during the pandemic, unfortunately, we lost the ability to have evening events or events throughout the day in person for students and families. So we lost that resource, and we wanted to develop a way to still get the information to students and families that they needed for the appropriate time. But we also wanted to still invite guests in from around the community, around St. Clair County, around the state that could speak about the topics beyond our own understanding, and for those students and families, that was the most appropriate way to do so. It was the fastest way to get the information to them. It was the safest way to get the information to them, and honestly, it's really made us take a look at the best way to deliver our programs moving forward in the future.
Now, I know these are considered an interactive webinar. If I'm a student at home and I'm watching this, can I ask questions to these guests?
These formats of the webinar are not presentation style. They're conversational. The panelist, it's a Q&A with each panel, and then we really open it up to the students and families that are in the attendance to ask questions. But they ask questions throughout the evening in the chat box, which is a nice feature in a webinar. So definitely a little bit feel than going in and sitting down and listening to a presentation and the slides going through. It's very conversational. It's accessible to students and families regardless of the age level or where they're at in their process.
Now, I know this originally started as kind of a Meet the Professionals program. Do you ever see going back to that format?
I remember those when I was a student here in St. Clair County at Marysville High School. And, that's the great history of how these programs started. We bring a lot of professionals, and I think that's the thing that why we like the webinar so much. We bring a diverse set of panels each evening when we host these webinars. We tried to have a 4-year college or university, community college, tech, trade school, so we're able to still bring the experts. It just looks differently.
Now, Nick, BWCAN can't do it alone, so there must be some other community organizations out there helping, is there not?
Absolutely. This is not just solely St. Clair County RESA and myself hosting these programs. This is a community effort, a St. Clair County effort to get the information and the appropriate topics to our students and families. Blue Water College Access Network, which I'm a part of, is a collaborative of SC4, Community Foundation, local school districts, nonprofit organizations, business leaders, and St. Clair County RESA. And we collectively combined our efforts, our resources, and our times to put on events like this. Not just our webinars, our other events that are throughout the county as well.
Can you give me kind of a sampling of what kind of a professional would come and talk to the students through your webinars?
Well, it really varies on what the topic is. That's one of the things that these webinars have given us the agility and the ability to do is be very specific about the time that we're reaching certain audiences, the grade level, the content that we're putting out. We're trying to be very intentional to meet students where they're at, and more specifically, that time in their planning. We can bring in career exploration and professionals to talk about various careers. We can have financial aid and financial services and scholarship nights. We can have student panels so they can hear from students that are in college or off at trade schools. We can have parent panels, which we've had before, where parents took their students to various pathways, are giving advice to parents now that are in middle school and high school. So the ability to really put out a diverse message and diverse programming has really came through these webinars.
So it's not just learn about a job or learn about a career, it's learn about what you need to do to prepare for your career.
Absolutely, Chris. One of the things that's always a challenge, it's a daily challenge, changing the mindset that it's not a college and no college. This is about getting the appropriate planning for each student, an individualized plan so that they're prepared for a career after high school graduation, whether it's a four-year college or university, a community college, trade school, or going into employment right away, that a employer will give you the formal training or pay for you to go back and get training through tuition reimbursement.
First of all, Nick, how many of these webinars have you held this year during the 22-23 school year?
Well, this year we're able to bring back a mix of webinars and in-person events, which have been great for our students and families. This will be the third webinar we've had. We had a couple in the fall. And this Thursday coming up on February 9th from 7 to 8, we will have a live interactive webinar that is titled Scholarships and Financial Aid Season.
What should a student and a parent expect?
Well, traditionally, this is the time of the year that we just cover scholarship searches and the financial aid application. That's actually called the FAFSA. It's a free application for federal student aid. Historically, this is a time of the year that's an important topic regardless of the year or a graduating class. But this year, it's extremely important. There's a lot of things that have changed, not only over the last few years, but the last few months. We actually have a representative coming to our panel that evening from the Michigan Department of Treasury, as well as a representative from the Community Foundation of St. Clair County, and then St. Clair County Community College, otherwise known as SC4, because there's some very specific topics that we need to cover that evening. One being, first and foremost, the governor introduced in the fall the new Michigan Achievement Scholarship for the class of 2023 and beyond. This is one of the largest investments that Michigan's ever made in terms of scholarship programs for the entire state of Michigan, but it's very new. Students and families, especially the seniors of this graduating class of 2023, this is going to be a great night, an hour that they can fully understand that 8 out of 10 graduating seniors this year will qualify for this, but they need to understand what it is and how they can apply for it. It's very easy, and they're going to get all those details that evening.
In a post-COVID educational world, are there more programs now available for students to make use of?
Absolutely. There's more money out there than I believe ever before. And I think all the colleges, universities, trade schools, community partners have really upped their game, not only in a dollar amount, but a diverse offerings for all students. The Community Foundation is going to be on the panel that evening as well and talking about the vast amount of scholarships that they have available for all students in St. Clair County for avenues after high school graduation, or maybe we're involved in several different things throughout high school. Scholarships is a traditional topic in terms of funding your post-secondary education or training, but scholarships have changed a lot. There's a lot more offerings now for all students of a graduating class, and it doesn't matter your ranking, your GPA, what you're involved in. There's a scholarship through these three areas that we're going to cover for all students and all families.
So seniors and parents are welcome to this event. Is anyone else encouraged to attend this event outside in the community?
Absolutely. So this event is a must for all seniors and parents, just because of the topics that we're going to be covering and the time-specific information that we're going to put out for before graduation here in the spring. But 9th through 11th grade students and families should attend as well, and it's open to all of them because part of their plan is looking into the future, whether it's a few months or a few years, to start preparing for these things. And if they sit for an hour on this webinar, they can get the information that they need for their plan for the years to come to really support what they're looking at for after high school graduation.
I mean, can't they get the information from just looking online? There's lots of resources out there, aren't there, Nick? Why is it really important for them to come face-to-face with people in the community?
You can Google. There's a lot of apps. There's a lot of information out there nowadays. And what we try to do is we try to streamline it. We try to condense it down to the information and the topics that are very meaningful, that are important for the students and families of what they need right now. We don't want to overload them with, too much content, too much information. We try to streamline what's important for their plan today and what do they need to get prepared for tomorrow.
You mentioned earlier that everyone is kind of invited to these events, but being a webinar, is there a way that you have to sign up, or is there just a website you just go to, and how does that work?
That's a great question. So yes, we need people to sign up for these events because they can't just walk in the door in the evening and grab a seat and attend the event like historically we've done. So you can register at our website. It's www.bwcan.org, bwcan.org. It's very simple. You just enter your name, your information, email address, and the high school that you attend, and then we send out a link to the private webinar that they'll be attending that evening.
Nick, have you had any feedback from students or parents regarding these programs?
It's been a lot of fun over the last few years, especially during the pandemic, hearing the stories of students logging in on these webinars on their way home from an athletic event, the laptop being flipped open, during family dinner, and families telling me, Nick, we had you, on the other evening, and we were sitting listening to you during dinner. So it's very accessible for students across our county to log into these events.
Nick, back before the series became a webinar, there was always a drawing for some scholarship money from the names of those who attended. Is there still a chance for a family to win a prize by logging on?
Yes, it is. Once again, our partners at the Community Foundation of St. Clair County are so generous, and we are able to offer a scholarship, a $500 scholarship to an 11th or 12th grade student that's in attendance at that evening.
If any parent wants to present to you a suggestion, I'd really like more information about this, or how can they reach you?
Well, that's the great thing about these webinars is that once they attend our events, it really opens up the communication channels. We then start really delivering information and content to the audience that attended that evening with my email address, my phone number, and then the contacts in their local school districts as well if they're looking for more information on the topics that are presented that evening.
Well, thanks a lot for joining us, Nick. This is a great program, and I wish you a lot of success. For Dateline Schools, I'm Chris Troy. Dateline Schools is a presentation of St. Clair County RESA.